Happy Friday, everyone. This is Carmen Mezzera from Apsia, the Association of Professional Schools of International Affairs. We are excited to close out our 2022 Spring Diversity Forum Advisor Workshop with a look at how Apsia itself can be of service to you as advisors. We have had a great week, I think, and all of the recordings from the sessions that we were able to capture are available on our YouTube page, and we'll throw that link into the chat. And the program, if you'd like to revisit the different sessions and bios and topics and speakers that we've enjoyed this week, is also in the chat for your enjoyment. After the session is over, you will get an evaluation survey, so please let us know how we did and how we can continue to improve. The folks who keep Apsia running smoothly and always moving forward and always improving and are so important to our work are my team here, Briana Suarez and Brittany Chur and Melina Perez, who help us deliver all of these great programs for you and for our advisor network across the United States and all of our schools around the world. This particular session, the Diversity Forum, is made possible thanks to a number of really generous investors. And in a special way, we want to thank Johns Hopkins SAIS, Open Society Foundations, Princeton School of Public and International Affairs, the Robertson Foundation for Government, Texas A&M's Bush School, the USC Annenberg Master of Public Diplomacy Program, and the University of Washington Jackson School. We're so grateful to them and everyone who makes it possible for us to deliver the quality content to you all as advisors that we're able to do throughout the year. So to get started, I want to just touch on a couple brief things. I want to talk about what Apsia is, what the advisor network is, some of the tools and resources that we already have available, and ways that we can contribute to you and make life a little easier, we hope, for you. Then I'll turn the floor over to my colleague, Briana Suarez, to talk a little bit more about what we can also do for you and your students, especially as they think about graduate school. So what is Apsia? You've been hearing about us all week. We are the community of graduate schools worldwide that specialize in international affairs. And our work really has two parts to it. We work internally with our graduate schools, and to be an Apsia member or affiliate, you have to be a graduate school, graduate level institution. And we support our schools and our students with lots of different programming internally for them. Other half of our work is externally facing. It's supporting all of you, supporting you and your students who might be thinking about master's degrees, at some point maybe a mid-career degree or a PhD program. And we do that through lots of the programming that Briana is going to talk about later. We also help make it easy for employers to recruit not only the fabulous students and alum that our schools create, but lots of different students through our public-facing job board, lots of career tools and resources, webinars, public-facing documents and information that really spread the message about what international affairs is and what the professions look like. And that's the last part of our external work. We work with partners across the country and across the world to tell that story. Why is it important that you study international affairs? What do the many, many different career options that we've been talking about all week look like? What does that mean for students, and how can they make that part of their journey and part of their lives? The Advisor Network was created in 2016 as a way to help all of you be better champions for these issues on your campus. We know that sometimes students come with questions and advisors don't really know a lot about the space or aren't as familiar with this particular issue or that opportunity as they might be for other disciplines. So we want to make it very easy for all of you to serve your students better, to bring these kinds of opportunities to your campus. And so the way we do that is several-fold. I'll show you in a minute a website we've devised just for advisors with lots of resources and information for you, and we add to that on a regular basis. Every Friday, you'll get information from us with job opportunities, internships, events, scholarships, fellowships, snarky commentary, all kinds of different things that we hope you will share with your students. Some advisors just pull it right out and plug it into their newsletter or put it up on social media. Others maybe curate it and send it directly to one student or another. We just put it out there as a way to make it a little easier for you to bring this content to your schools and campuses. We also hope to build some community among you. So as you have a question, as a challenge arises, as a success comes up that you want to share, you'll be on that listserv and you can post an opportunity, a question, any of those different kinds of things, again, to help build this resource for you and to know you're not the only one out there working on these issues. You have this support structure around you. You also have all of us. I think we've offered at many points throughout the week to tell the story. Those of us who are Gilmans, those of us who are Fulbrighters, those of us who have just been in this space for a while. We're here to help you, whether that student's sitting in front of you and says, how do I combine my interest in dance and my interest in international affairs? We've had certainly advisors pick up the phone and call and say, Carmen, I have a question. Could you help me in real time? We're also happy to schedule conversations with you and your students on a longer term basis to just be a ready resource to help you and to help them. The very last thing I want to do before I turn the floor over to Briana is talk a little bit about two tools and resources that we have for all of you that we hope will make life a little easier. Can folks see the screen? Thumbs up? Thumbs up. Excellent. What you see here is the Apsia website, and we have a number of tools I want to highlight for you. We have here under the Why International Affairs section, a series of student stories, some quizzes that students can take to find out a little bit more about what pathway might make the most sense for them, some information about why Apsia schools, what does that mean? What is our process? How does it come to be that one school is an Apsia member or an affiliate and another is not? We have a directory of all of our schools and programs. They'll tell you a little bit more about them, the degrees that they offer, click-throughs to their employment outcomes, click-throughs to contact their admissions teams, a ready conduit from your students directly to schools that they might be interested in, or that maybe they've never heard of and are just discovering now. So we hope to continue to build this out as a one-stop shop, one place that students can go to really begin and deepen their search for graduate school. There's also a program matcher, which is another quiz that they can take. So again, when they have, I want to study in this language, or I'm curious about these particular topics, or I kind of think this is the degree program I want, they can click through and figure out which schools are already doing that kind of work. I mentioned a little bit about our career guide, but in addition to the public jobs board that we have, where anyone can post opportunities for free, so you'll find anything from faculty positions to remote internships and everything in between. We have lots of stories about what our alumni do in the world. Again, we know that students struggle with that understanding of what this really means for the work that they can do and the ways that they can contribute. So lots of different alumni stories there. But one tool that we know folks really find helpful is the career guide. It'll unpack different sectors, tell a little bit about them, give some tips on what it means to be in that space, and then suggest some employers. So it's a great way for you when students come to you, say, I think I'm kind of interested in energy and the environment, but I don't really know who's doing that or what that means. It can be a great beginning and a great gateway for them to start to drill down and learn a little bit more about all of those different fields and possibilities. We also have a directory of different fellowships and scholarships that students can use to sort by different criteria based on citizenship, based on their background, based on what they'd like to do. If they're looking for funding for research or language study, paying for graduate school, international students, US students, lots of different ways to filter the content there to come down and find those different opportunities that they may not otherwise be aware of. We also have our events page. We run probably 50 events a year, many of which are public facing that students can come and participate in, and Briana will tell you much more about all of those possibilities. And then we also have more information about us and some of the information and opportunities that we provide. The other page I wanted to share with you all is the Public and International Service Advisor Network. We run two different networks of advisors, one specifically for advisors at minority serving institutions and those who serve students that have been underrepresented and traditionally excluded from the fields, and then one for advisors much more broadly on campuses. But both of those networks meet here together at the PISA website. If you have enjoyed any of the presentations that you've heard today or this week about careers in international affairs, about best practices in applying to graduate school, we are happy, totally free of charge, thanks to the investors in our different programs and opportunities, to come and do those for your students. In some cases, we do them spring, summer, and fall. So we are always, always happy to beam in. And if you bribe us with enough chocolate and pizza, maybe we'll even come to campus if that's possible in the semi-post-COVID era that we find ourselves in. But one of the things I really want to highlight for you is our resources directory. This again is a place where you can come and find lots of different possibilities and opportunities for you and for your students. So if you want to drill down a little bit more on careers, on professional development for you, on more graduate school information, those different kinds of tools and resources can be found here, and we add to it regularly. If you're particularly looking for something that's maybe a download, something you can print out and give to your students when we get again back into that giving out paper kind of era. If you're looking for a cool podcast, or you're looking for funding opportunities, all of this kind of content can be sorted and filtered to drill down and find those kinds of possibilities for you. And then maybe you have students who really want to better understand what public service careers look like, or what the private sector looks like and how it intersects with international affairs. You can specialize the different kinds of content that's possible to really bring those kinds of things forward and make it easy for you and your students to find those opportunities. So we, as I said, are adding to this regularly and are really trying to help build out this as a place that you can go and point your students at to find more information on an easy and regular basis. With that, I'm delighted to turn the floor over to Briana to tell you a little bit more specifically about our work focused on graduate school.
All right, thank you, Carmen. Thank you all for joining us today. As you may or may not know, my name is Briana Suarez, and I'm the International Admissions and Operations Manager here. And my work is specifically with those prospective students that are thinking about graduate school, and to help you all make that journey a little bit easier for those students. So here at Apsia, we have a number of resources to help prospective students through the journey of choosing graduate schools, how they can apply, and for current students as well, with the hopes of reaching as many possible students to make them see that this field is open to them. So our programming, as I mentioned, spans both for prospective students through advisors and multipliers in the field. So one of the events which you are all part of currently is the Diversity Forum workshop. So while this specific week was focused on advisors, we do host one specifically for students and young professionals that are looking to learn more about the field of international affairs and learn, how inclusive the field can be. This event usually takes place in July. This year it will take place July 16th in person after 2 years in Washington, D.C. So if any of your students are in the D.C. area and are interested in joining us, they will be able to register for that event soon, and we will make sure to circulate that invitation shortly. And during that workshop, we really tailored those sessions specifically to students to meet them where they are. So we talk about choosing mentors and choosing allies, what careers in international affairs can look like for them. We've had sessions in the past on salary negotiations and so forth. It is one of our favorite events of the year. So please make sure to invite any and all students that you know that will be in the DC area for that. Outside of that event, we have graduate school fairs for students to connect with our Apsia admissions directors and counselors, again, to learn more about the programs and the schools within Apsia and to learn what a degree from an Apsia school can do for them. So our first fair will take place online, free to anyone worldwide on July 23rd from 10 a.m. to 12:30 p.m. And I will actually share the link with you all so that you can advertise that. And we will make sure to also share that link with all of you moving forward. We will also host a second online fair for those who can't attend in July in September. It will be September 29th, again, free to anyone worldwide so that they can connect with admissions counselors, learn from our admissions counselors, what makes a great graduate school application, what are they looking for in an applicant, and so forth. As some of you may know, we had a session earlier this week where I covered the best practices in applying to graduate school. And we will also host a mini workshop during that event for students that are participating, again, to learn specifically what are the best practices for applying to graduate school and what are some of the questions they should be asking themselves as they're choosing a program for graduate school. Outside of the online graduate school fairs, we also host virtual open houses coming up in September for those students that are interested and know a specific topic that they're really interested in continuing to learn about and maybe even further into graduate school. We host these virtual open houses where they can hear from our schools specifically that offer these programs and these degrees so that students can learn, again, a little bit more tailored information about these topics, what they can do with a degree in that specific field, whether it be human rights, energy and the environment, PhD programs, mid-career programs, and so forth. And registration for those open houses will go out shortly as well. We will make sure to share those invitations with you all. Again, we encourage you to encourage your students to attend These events are always free, always open to anyone that is interested in joining us. Outside from the online fairs and virtual open houses programming, we also host presentations, as Carmen has mentioned, and as we've mentioned throughout this week, that we are able to tailor and create presentations for your students, whether it's a best practices in applying to graduate school webinar. We also host the Careers in International Affairs specific webinar. There's also one on preparing for the global marketplace. But again, you can ask us to tailor a presentation specifically for your students on things that they have, whether it be graduate school or just careers in international affairs, and we're happy to come and give that presentation, whether it is virtually, or as Carmen mentioned, if you bribe us well enough, possibly in person as well. But outside of prospective students, I also want to cover the presentations that we offer for advisors. So you've seen a couple of the sessions that we've offered this week, but we also can provide certain presentations such as helping students prepare for the global marketplace, again, directly tailored for you all as advisors. We've had sessions on podcasting in the past, but again, you tell us your needs and we're happy to tailor a presentation specifically to that. Monthly, we host a best practices webinar that you are all welcome to, as well as your students, to register for. The next one will be on June 6th from 1 p.m. to 2 p.m. Eastern. So if you're interested, feel free to register for that. We also have monthly open office hours where one of us will sit on Zoom, and anyone that is wanting to chat with us is able to log on and get advice, whether it is, where you are in your career, how do you answer questions for your students on graduate school, when should I apply to graduate school, really any question that has to do with graduate school, we are happy to help. You just have to go on our website, click the link, and you will be able to connect with us. And then two more things that I want to cover before I turn it over to you all and to your questions. We also want to be a resource to you all, as we've mentioned. So if there's any programming that you all have coming down the pipeline that you need help with, we are more than happy to provide assistance, whether it's a panel on a specific topic and you need some alumni to talk about it, or people from that sector to come in and talk about that specific topic. We are happy to contact our alumni, our schools, and see who we can provide. Maybe you want one of us to come and talk on a panel about whatever it may be. We are more than happy to serve in that capacity as well. We have spoken on various panels throughout the year already, and we're more than happy to add more to our calendar if it is of resource to any of you. We also have an internship, a paid internship for those students that are interested. We've already filled the spot for summer, but we will be looking for a fall summer communications and marketing intern. This internship is every semester and comes with a $500 stipend. And so if you have any great students that may be interested in an internship, please feel free to direct them to our website where they can see the internship requirements, how to apply, and so forth. We are more than happy to read their applications and hopefully have one of them on board for the incoming fall 2022 semester. And then lastly, I want to encourage you all to follow us on social media, whether it's through Facebook, LinkedIn, Instagram, Twitter. We post a number of stories, alum stories, current school Apsia news, celebration, job postings. We really do utilize social media as best as we can to get all of that information to you all, to really, again, make sure that we can show what a student can do with a degree in international affairs, and not just in international affairs, but from an Apsia school specifically. So please go on our social media, please follow us. We love to continue to engage with you all, not just through emails, but through those channels as well. And I hope I covered everything from my end. Carmen, I'm sure you will let me know if there's anything that I've missed. But now I really want to turn it over to you all. If there are any questions for us, please feel free to ask us. Maybe there is more of a specific question of what Apsia specifically can do for your institution. Feel free to ask away. This is your time. And thank you again for listening to us and joining us this week. It's been a pleasure to host these sessions. And again, as I mentioned, one of our favorite times of the year is the Diversity Forum. So thank you.
Thanks, Bree. That was great. To echo what she said, I invite our advisors in the chat or to raise your hands or unmute yourselves. Burning questions, things you wonder if they exist, things you frequently hear from students and are curious how we answer them. What can we share with you?
Hi, sorry, I'm working from home. So thank you so much for all of this great information. I'm so glad that that one of my other colleagues had included me in the email so that I could connect with you all. So this has been really helpful, informational, eye-opening, learning a lot, discovering a lot. And so I really, really appreciate all the hard work and time that you all are putting into what you do with Apsia. I was thinking about, because the work that I do at Howard, I'm new to my position with the Patricia Roberts Harris Fellowship for Public and International Affairs. And so one of the things that I work on with the fellows is providing professional development. And so some of the things that you all have been mentioning are like perfect, to complement some of the things that I've been working on. So I'm wondering about policy-oriented writing. Because I was a PPIA fellow 20 plus years ago. So I had the privilege of getting sort of an introductory sort of like course module to policy writing for domestic public policy and international affairs. And, with quantitative analysis sort of attached to that. And so currently we don't have something like that with our program, but I think it's super helpful as far as like when students graduate, if they're going into a graduate program, or if they are going right into the work environment, to sort of have sort of an introduction to that. So I was interested in if you all have any resources with or ideas. I'm open to learning any and everything that I can, because this information is like gold. So thank you again.
Sure. I'll jump in, Bri, and then if whatever you have to share. So we see this in a few ways. We see it through our schools, who will often run boot camps or preparatory sessions before students begin. So one thing that you may want to share with your students as they look at programs is if they think, oh, this is something I'm going to need, thinking about programs that way. We also share lots of different pre-existing programs like PPIA, like Harvard's PPLC, which is the Public Policy Leadership Conference, the public service weekends that are run, and other partners organizations programming to get those kinds of skills in place. The American Economics Association has one, Duke University has one. So we'll pump out a lot of those things as a conduit to our partners. We don't specifically run a quant boot camp or a policy writing boot camp, but one of the tips that we often share is we've seen a lot of advisors and particularly faculty too, run successful workshops where they'll have a small group event where that student will take that 80-page paper that they wrote, and then with counseling with faculty or the writing center or some other partners, they take that 80-page paper and they make it a 5-page paper. Then they have to take that 5-page paper and they make it a 1.5 pages. And so it forces the student to think about, how do I take all the information that's in that 80-page paper and brief it in a 1.5 pages? So we've seen some advisors run, and we've helped to inspire, we hope, advisors to similarly think about how they do that kind of work. Some of the other activities we've shared are some of our partners in think tanks run pitch competitions. Some of them have opportunities for publications and journal articles where, again, they don't want that 80-page paper. They want all of that same information in 1,000 words or something along those lines. So even if we don't have the ability to do it, we try to make it easier for you all to prompt your students to do those kind of things. But we are big PPIA champions, so we hope that more students will also find their opportunities to learn all the things that you learned, Jerome. Briana, did I miss anything?
No, I think that covers it. We really try to elevate and promote those opportunities that come through us, through our social media. And that's something that I would suggest, if students want to get more of those experiences, maybe submit that 80-page paper and try to hone it down for this 5-page, competition. So things like that don't necessarily force them to go to a boot camp or anything like that, but work with the things that they already have is a great way to start getting them to get those experiences, again, without having to go out of the way for another program. And a lot of those things we share constantly through our Twitter, Facebook, through our social media channels, and through our emails as well. So if possible, follow us on that and, continue to elevate those opportunities in any way you can. I know that's not I don't know if that's like a direct answer to the question, but hopefully it helps in some way.
And one other thing to build on, Briana offered for us to help find alum. So if you were doing an event on briefing or on policy writing, and you said, man, I really need an alum or a human at X agency, do you know anyone who might come do a session for my students? We're always happy to put those requests out. And then the alums are pretty ruthless in their feelings about how students' work can be strengthened in its ability to be policy ready or quant ready or all of those kind of things.
Actually, thank you both so much, because that gives me some ideas. Because actually I'm thinking, maybe I could do maybe just like one workshop that, and I'll have the students bring papers that they've already done, and then we'll condense it into like a policy memo. And so then that way it doesn't have to be, a boot camp that lasts several weeks or over several days, but it could be just like a kind of a one and done introduction to policy writing. So yeah, that's awesome. Thank you so much.
Sure. Moira, please.
Audio now.
Hello. I just wanted to add that, Jerome, you're really lucky being at Howard that you have Patricia Scroggs there and the Wrangle Fellowship, because for the Wrangle Summer Institute, that's for younger students. I know that one of the components of that is a writing, I don't know if it's, a workshop or a several-day event or how they do it, but they do that kind of writing to introduce students to how to write a memo, how to write a policy paper, et cetera. So you've got some resources right at Howard that might be useful to you.
Yes, thank you so much, Moira. So I literally just spoke to Lindsay, who's working with Patricia on their writing workshops, and she gave me some really great information. And they've just so this is, I think, Lindsay's coming up on her first year, so her second go around with coordinating this. So
oh wow, yeah.
She just put together a syllabus. So she gave me a copy of that, and that gives me like some really great things. The only difference would be that their program is very specifically oriented for writing for the Foreign Service. So I would have to generalize it a bit, for other areas too. But it's definitely a fantastic starting point. So thank you for mentioning that.
Yeah, sure. I put something in the chat about your guys, what you offer, but I also wanted to just, or a question about what you offer, but I also just wanted to say, I really appreciate this conference, and this whole week has been really helpful. And especially the sort of focus on the broad inclusion of international affairs, both in terms of the kinds of careers, but also thinking about serving underrepresented populations or welcoming underrepresented populations into the various careers. And it occurred to me at one area that I think would be really interesting to explore a bit more is the presence of and opportunities for people with disabilities in those fields. There have been some real pioneers who pushed the envelope on that and, helped broaden the inclusion in like the Foreign Service, for example. And, so I think it would be really, I think that's another area that it would be great to think about for diversity.
Absolutely. And Mobility International, and there's one other as well, have some great scholarships too, to help students with disabilities. And I'm not sure exactly how they define it, but access things like study abroad and internships and some of those other opportunities that are often feel closed off for students. So that's a great idea, Myra, and we'll see what we can do later on. One thing we didn't mention is that we also throughout the year try to invite speakers from different programs to come and brief you all on their opportunities. So it might be speakers from a particular fellowship program or scholarship program or internship program. So to my team, I'm going to ask them to make a note that we should reach out to our friends at Mobility International and similar organizations to see what they can share with us. Yeah, to your question in the chat too about the presentations on overviews with careers in international affairs, we don't have any specific number requirements. I've truly done it for one student who got lots of love and attention, and we've done it for 50 students and several Zoom screens. So we understand that especially in this time, getting students to come to in-person and online sessions is an interesting challenge. Yeah. And so we are happy to do it, whether it's one intrepid kid or 75.
That's great.
So,
That's great.
Absolutely.
Yeah. Something else just popped into my mind, but now it's gone again, about sort of your offerings. Oh, I guess, are you,
From Carmen.
I think students always find it helpful to have a peer join in some of these presentations. So like if we had an alum who, had a career in international affairs, would you be willing to kind of be part of a session where an alum presented and also you presented on Apsia?
Sure.
Yeah,
absolutely.
Okay, great.
We're pretty, we're free. We're equal opportunity. We'll take whatever stage you'd like to give us. So we would be happy to.
Great. And I hope we get that new update for Zoom where we can, send chocolate and stuff through the Zoom screens. I think that should be coming soon, don't you?
I think the first school that pioneers that will make a mint in terms of their ability to secure speakers.
Yeah.
Other questions, things you're curious about, things you wonder if they exist. We've built lots of great tools based on the suggestions of advisors, the printable overview that we have with careers in international affairs that you can download from the PISA website we shared with you. It's a front to back sheet, gives a brief introduction and then a few suggested equations. So this plus that can equal this sort of opportunity was born from an advisor who said, my students have no concept of how, like they know they're interested in this, but they're studying computer science because their grandmother told them to, but they want to do an international career. How do I help guide them? So some of those pieces, the Friday emails that you all will receive with all of those opportunities was born because an advisor said, I just need plug and play resources. I'm too busy. I have 1,000 students to counsel. Can't you just send it to me in an easy, easy format that I can steal? And I said, okay. And that's how those kinds of things were born. So we are 100% here to do what we can to make it easy for you to do these kinds of things. Awesome. Well, if you think of something tonight in the shower, making dinner, whatever, we will each put our information in the chat so that you can reach out to each of us. Apsia is a mighty staff of 3 that's able to deliver worldwide, as well as some fantastic graduate students that work with us, also again, worldwide. So if you have students from different places and parts of the world interested in different opportunities, there's a good chance that somebody from the team has traveled that path. Anita, please.
Oh, okay, great. I couldn't unmute earlier. So I'm sorry I popped in late. I'm in the middle of transitioning to a new role. I'll be moving to Wesleyan University from Trinity College into a role that's Associate Director of Intercultural Education. I'm sorry, Intercultural Learning. So I'm not sure what you all talked about, but it seems like a small enough group of people where I can ask anything. So I'd love to, and I used to work at Fairfield University in international studies and was much more engaged with, pointing students towards Apsia resources. But I'm curious about this, just the piece that you're talking about today. And how, so I guess just an introduction and to say that I will look you up once I'm over there in mid-June.
Sounds good. And on the intercultural front, one of the sessions that we had on yesterday, Thursday, about connecting local and global.
Yeah.
Some of the great tips that came forward came not only from thinking about how international students can deliberately and when we engage them in really good ways, contribute to the intercultural life at schools, but also refugee communities, immigrant communities, the consulates and embassies. Even if there isn't one in your town, they usually have a geographic scope that they cover. So you're probably included in one of those. The Peace Corps has their speakers program where returned Peace Corps volunteers come and talk about the country they served in and the work that they did and the people they lived and worked with. The same thing with the State Department, the same thing with lots of different organizations. So there's many free ways to bring different cultures, different communities together. One of the ideas that also came forward yesterday was thinking about the student groups and what they might be interested in. So it could be the anime society, it could be the K-pop fan club, the soccer team, the intramural soccer team. We've seen students come to international affairs in lots of different ways. It's not only the policy wonks. And so we've seen some really cool ideas come forward about how those different things can be woven in to broaden students' understanding. And then we've seen plenty. We had an alum speak at a session a few months ago who said he's now a policy analyst. He said, yeah, he got interested in international stuff because all of his colleagues on the soccer team were from different countries. And he went, well, I guess I should probably learn about this and come to learn Spanish because that's the language of my team. And now he's got a great job doing work on international trade and international policies. So
yeah, that's really funny. The reason I'm late is because I was talking to this student. He just graduated and I've been working with him for a long time in building a sports management club. And he's Nigerian, Jamaican American. And his father's a Nigerian immigrant. So he was, and he's been there a few times. And we talked about this need for American students to go to other places, especially Africa, I think, to try to dissuade some, of these crazy stereotypes that are so destructive in a format that's, sports, like you said, because that's so universal and just a great way for young people to connect and learn about other cultures. So I love that. That's really cool. Are these all going to be available on recording? Because I missed half of them.
Some of them are. So that particular session that was the small group conversation is not.
Okay.
But my colleague Brittany Chur has prepared a summary of a lot of the links and different ideas that were shared. So you'll get that in a couple hours. And then the summary of the whole week will be available on our website. So we'll have some ways to capture even the things that were not recorded, but then also on our YouTube page, which I will throw in the chat, you can find the recordings that were captured. And before I forget too, the Japanese government, at least they used to, had an exchange program specifically for athletes and coaches to get athletes and coaches from different places to go to Japan and work with their teams. So that can also be a great way to do the management piece, the sports piece, and the international piece, and have somebody else pay for it. So that's always a win. Great. Well, thanks all of you for being here this whole week. Thanks to my team again for making this possible and for having it all go so smoothly. After this session, you will get an evaluation survey from us. You'll get a whole long list of resources based on the things that we've shared. And this is, as I've said so many times this week, just the beginning of our relationship. So look for lots more information, lots more programs, webinars, sessions, and opportunities for you and for your students. Thanks to all of you for being here. Thanks to the Diversity Forum funders, and thanks to the Apsia team for all the great work that they do. Have a good rest of your week, everybody, and happy Memorial Day weekend.
Thanks, everybody. Be well.
Enjoy the long weekend, everyone. Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.